Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. It's so good to see all of you guys joining me for this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday afternoon. It is December 2nd. Wow, December of 2025, and we are live. So good to have all of you guys joining me here today. Just to let you guys know, the Jaybefaunt channel is also part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. So you guys can find me there on Tuesdays for the Savvy and JB show and Sundays for the JB show, and here regularly on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Also, you guys can find me also every 11th and 22nd of every month on my brand new channel, Kind Connections Podcast, where I actually talk about many different things, even including outside of politics. So you guys can always find me there, and you guys can find that on my link tree. Now, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and give a like to the stream. Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for that. Also, if you guys have not, you guys can also subscribe to my Substack at jaybefaunt.substack.com. Gives you email notifications whenever I go live, upload clips, or even write any articles that you guys may see there. Also, if you guys would like to support me by also asking me questions and I give you a video response, or I react to the video that you guys found interesting, you guys can do that through QBounty at qbounty.com/Jaybefaunt. So, it's a great day for a great show with revolutionaries today. We have a lot to talk about, in fact. And so I want to say a blanket hello to everybody that's joining in. Good to see how you're doing. I hope you guys got some cookies, preferably some oatmeal raisin cookies, because you know oatmeal raisin is the shit. But I would like to introduce my guests that were joining me today. I have two guests that are doing great work in the independent media space, as well as doing on the ground work in their respective communities. I have Jim Perelman and Peter Hager joining me today from Revolutionary Change channel. So good to have you guys joining.
Hi.
Nice to have you. Miss Jen, good to see you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I got my water. I had a banana. I'm good. All right.
Well, I would say I'm not a cookie aficionado like Jen is, but I would definitely take chocolate chip with walnuts over oatmeal raisin. But that's my preference.
You don't eat junk food. You are the most unfun person to eat junk food with.
Well, if I make an exception, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
And actually, you and Jay have probably, if you like the sweet treat, your favorite sweet place in the entire world is close to where Jay lives.
Oh, really? Oh, are you in Orlando?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you live near Gideon's. Gideon's
Oh,
Bakehouse.
Uh-oh.
Gideon's Bakehouse. Oh, yeah.
Let me look that up. Gideon's.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Even and again, as somebody who doesn't indulge in the sweet treats, this place is insanely good. Like, it really is.
I have not been to the one at Disney because I heard it's ridiculous. I go to the one that's on Corinne Drive, and I highly recommend. Yeah, it's got some serious stuff there.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm guessing it's like 5 minutes from your house.
That just looks so. It looks so guilt-inducing. Like my.
Oh, it is. It is. It's insane, but it's very good. I highly recommend the walnut chocolate chip. It's very special. If you don't pre-order, you could only get it on Wednesdays. The fact that I know this and don't live near there is scary.
Look, and I'll say this, Peter. I will take what you said about the walnut with chocolate chip, and I will raise you oatmeal chocolate macadamia nut.
That I like too.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that does sound good.
Yeah. So now that I have you both here, one of the things I wanted to talk about is what's going on in Venezuela. This is a major story that's happening as we speak right now. Trump himself is actually trying to basically invade Venezuela. And, you know, it's really basically in Donald Trump fashion that he is carrying out exactly what all the other presidents have ever done. And really, it goes without saying that Trump is no different than any others. In fact, people say he's a peace president. I say BS. In fact, let's take a look at this. This happened, a couple of years back, or about a year back or so. Let's take a look at this.
How about we're buying oil from Venezuela? When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door. But now we're buying oil from Venezuela, so we're making a dictator very rich. Can you believe this? Nobody can believe it. You know where their oil is garbage. It's horrible. The worst you can get. Tar. It's like tar. And to refine it, you need special plants. And these people, how about we're buying oil from Venezuela?
How about that?
How about that?
It sounds like a really terrible idea. We're totally going to buy the oil, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to do it even better. We're going to do something totally better than buying the oil. We're going to take the oil. We're going to steal it from them, right out from under them. It's going to be even cheaper. Can you believe it? Can you believe how rich I'm going to make all of my very powerful friends? This is, again, he's P.T. Barnum. That's who he is. This is a comedy show.
Yeah.
It's imperialism. Comedy style. That's
At first I thought, okay, we're just going to go in there and take the oil. But from what I have heard from people that seem to know what they're talking about, the amount of troops that they have geared up to do this is the same amount of troops that they had go in to take out the leader of Panama when we took Noriega out of Panama. And so it would seem that what they're gearing up to do is go in and get Maduro and create a regime change, which is what we do. And then they won't need to take the oil because they'll have their puppet give them the oil.
Yeah, because it's funny how they're trying to manufacture this weird type of narrative that Maduro is some drug lord. And look, I'm gonna go there. This reeks of some white supremacist narrative, because if he's brown and he speaks Spanish, he has to be some drug lord, right? That's what it feels like. Am I wrong?
No, it's very racist, but I also don't think it matters one way or the other. They would say that about, this is just the pretext, right? Like, this is just our excuse for going to war. But I would suggest that, let's say he is a drug lord, and let's say he is selling drugs all around the world. Our only concern should be what comes into our country. But what we're doing is in their waters and in their airspace in their country. So what even if they are a narco state, how is that our business other than protecting our own country? That's what I would say. So I think it's irrelevant whether or not he does deals in drugs. I don't think that's the issue. I think that's not our business.
There's too many people that have come up during the 9/11 era that know exactly what the State Department is up to now. Their clandestine operations are too obvious. Their false flags are too obvious. So at this point, they're just like, we're going to be like Trump. We're just going to go take the oil. It's like, yeah, they're just going to stop pretending. Why pretend? We know what this is about. And, I was talking to Jen offline yesterday, and I basically said, as horrible as it is to even, prophesize this way,
yeah,
it would be one thing if we were living in a nation that did imperialism, that actually took care of its people. I don't think anyone is under the illusion that we are a nation that has imperialistic tendencies that ever gives a damn about its people. We are just a means to an end. There is a select few people that are going to benefit from this, and that's it. And to hell with the rest of the world, to hell with the people of Venezuela, to hell with the American people. This is not about some benevolent cause. This is imperialism, colonialism, all fascism, all wrapped into one big ridiculous bow that I don't know who the hell is selling it or buying it anymore, but we're getting a little restless here as a nation. So keep poking the bear. I guess, Gaza's not enough. Let's do a massacre in our own backyard. That makes even more sense.
Yeah. In fact, they're basically saying a quiet part out loud. It's not even a quiet part anyway, because they're just saying, oh, we need to do regime change. And this actually was spoken about on Fox News, Fox Business, in fact. And so my question is, what are we doing just sitting here wait, what are we waiting for? That's my biggest question. Let's hear these yahoos talk about basically regime change here.
Well, switching gears now, President Trump confirming that he had a phone call with Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro last week. Joining.
First of all, here's
Exactly. I know what you're going to say. Why is he a dictator when he was
how is
democratically
he a
elected?
dictator?
Well, and
Okay.
also everything we don't like is a regime. It's a regime. It's not an, I know he is not a dictator. He was elected in a fair election, more fair than our election. So that's just hilarious.
Yeah. So let me share this with you guys first, because that part really set me off. Not set me off. Okay. I'm gonna use my New Jersey accent. Set me off because the problem is when you take a look at what actually is going on in Venezuela, if he's really a dictator, why in the hell is he literally deputizing and arming Venezuelan citizens?
I love
You
that.
have an abuela with a rifle. I'm talking about if she's under a dictatorship, why does grandma have a rifle? Guess what? Maybe, just maybe, it's actually a free and fair elected democratic government, and she's trying to protect it.
Yeah, mi abuela is el commando. So don't mess with Granny. That's you
Well,
know.
don't mess with Venezuela. I mean,
No.
these people are going to mostly be armed. This is not going to be like what we did in Iraq or even in Vietnam. This is going to be a whole other animal that we have no idea what we're getting into.
I mean, again, this is this is like the whole thing, because it would be one thing if we were some form of a united front. And again, we weren't really a united front in the spring of 2003. I mean, my opinion of George W. Bush early on was extremely negative before a lot of these things even took place, without even knowing the full scope of, Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, Wickoff, and all those people. What I'm learning now is that this is a country that is soundly rejecting imperialism, the unification amongst libertarians and progressives in particular. It's becoming more and more clear. You have veterans marching on DC right now. You have veterans led by the likes of Anthony Aguilar, Matthew Ho. You have Phil Turney from the USS Liberty. You have these men who are conservative by nature, who are up in arms about what is going on here. They know what this is about. And the second that our troops are basically met with tens of thousands of now deputized militia members that are going to be hiding out in places, it's going to be like Vietnam. Like, this is nuts. But hey, this is a rich man's game that a poor man pays.
Yeah. Over 3 million Venezuelans that are armed to the teeth, ready, guns pointed at the North Shore towards the beach for anybody with a U.S. flag on them that's trying to come in and take over their land.
Hey, listen, as far as I'm concerned, let Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Maria Elvira Salazar be the first ones on the boats. I saw Clay Travis today, one of the biggest Trump bootlickers out there. Hey, you want to fight in this? You believe in this that much? We're totally going to get that oil. Why don't you get on one of the U-boats and get out there and fight? You believe in it that badly? I ain't dying for your ass. If there was a cause worth dying for, I would fight on the front lines, but there isn't one. That's the difference. See, once you know the score, you can't unsee it. And that's what's going to, I do feel bad for those that are in desperate situations, that are serving in the military because it is their only way out of poverty or whatever circumstance they may be coming from. And now they're being stuck in this quagmire that hasn't even started yet. And everyone knows what's coming. And what makes it even more interesting, Jen, the people in the United States are going to be cheering for the Venezuelan militia people to basically upend the U.S. military. I mean, that's what we've come to at this point. That's how unbelievable this circumstance is.
Yeah, basically. Your thoughts, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, well, people in this country have gotten very comfortable as far as we don't see war here. I mean, we're starting to now with what's going on with ICE and having National Guard, but really up until very recently, we don't see that here. That's something that happens somewhere else. And most people here are very good at compartmentalizing that. So if it doesn't affect them directly, it's not really their problem. And the people in Venezuela have been dealing with our tyranny and our bullshit for decades. Like, this is absurd. The people in Venezuela have been dealing with our nonsense since, I want to say, when was Chavez in like early 2000s, whenever he first got in. And then we've been playing this game with them. So they have been on alert from us, not to mention that our sanctions are the biggest reason that they're in the mess that they're in economically and why so many people there are suffering. So they already don't like our country. It won't take very much for these people to really rise up against us. And this is going to be nothing that we have seen before, like in modern history.
At the end of the day, this is all about money. It is all about power, just like Gaza, just like Ukraine, just like Taiwan, and everything in between. And as Lincoln once said, and I believe it's his greatest saying, you can fool some of the people all the time. You can fool all the people some of the time. You can't fool all of the people all of the time. And there are way too much of the population that is up to snuff on what's going on now. Yeah. And that's why they have basically given up on the propaganda. They're just saying, yeah, we're going for the oil.
Right.
Yeah, basically. Let's continue on with these yahoos again. Of course, I just want to stop there and bring that out because it's like,
okay, because I'll get distracted with that in and of itself. But okay,
yeah,
let the caucasity continue.
Of course.
Now is General Jack Dean, Fox News senior strategic analyst. General, great to see you. Essentially, the bottom line of that phone call was, if you don't go, we're going to go in and get you out. There are historical precedents, both by Republican and Democratic presidents, of doing exactly that in Latin America, right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I think we are at a stage here where certainly I think it's full disclosure now that President Trump does indeed want a regime change. And he certainly prefers Maduro to take his invitation to leave. And hopefully that is the answer. And the other thing with the military demonstration that's taken place in and around Venezuela, I think he's been attempting to put some significant pressure on the people that keep him in power. Make them question, is this really worth it to keep Maduro in power? Maybe it makes more sense to tell them to get going. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Regime change for sure. There are precedents here, definitely. 1989, Noriega was deposed by President George H.W. Bush. No authorization from Congress, but some collaboration prior and during. And it was principally done for similar reasons. Noriega, in 1988, a year before the attack, the fact of the matter is he was found guilty and indicted in a U.S. federal court system for drug trafficking and human trafficking, and eventually Bush ordered a regime change, and that was successfully done rather quickly by 20,000 plus troops supported by naval and air power. In 1994, President Clinton did much the same. Some collaboration with the Congress ahead of time, but no authorization.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so from my understanding is we are seeking to go into Venezuela with the same force that we went into Panama when what he's talking about with Noriega. And except for Venezuela is an infinitely bigger country with infinitely more armed people. And so it's going to be ugly. But I remember when that happened very clearly, when they kidnapped Noriega and brought him here to try him according to our laws. And I remember thinking then, the audacity of that. Like we can go to another country and kidnap their leader and bring them back here and try them according to our laws in our country. Like it's so off the wall. And now they're just saying it out loud. I mean, I actually appreciate the transparency from these guys. Like, just like I do with Trump, he's the most honest liar ever. Like, I think that is it. We should know. Yes, they don't like this leader. They're going to put in a new one. This is how we're doing it.
Yeah, it's like listening to every pro-Israel genocider say Israel has the right to defend itself. That's what Kamala said. That's what Biden said. That's what Obama said. Again, and on we go. Okay, Hillary Clinton is now speaking at a pro-Israel get-together event. I get which one. Lord knows there's a different one every other day. But in Trump's case, it just becomes, yeah, I'm tired of playing this game. I'm just going to say what's really going on. I don't have time to say they have the right to the vet. No, we have the right to run roughshod over the whole world because this is what we've done since World War II. And until the big bad bully gets cold cocked right in the mouth and runs away like a bitch, which is what will happen. Because again, if this was a similar situation, yeah, I bet you the American people can sympathize because there is a very large contingent of arms libertarian, like-minded people in this country who would say, if China showed up on our shores and decided that they were going to bring tens of thousands of troops to basically take over, I don't know, it doesn't even have to be Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
We'll just say Atlanta, Georgia. Do I think that those people would be ready to fight? Yes, I do. So now they can understand exactly how the Venezuelan people feel with somebody coming into their country that doesn't belong there. And the whole lie about the drug traffic, everybody knows is bullshit.
It's not true. Yeah.
And on top of everything else, even though this is not going to be the topic of conversation for today, it has been brought to the attention of the American people that the minority leader of the Democratic Party, Hakeem Jeffries, has said, and I quote, there will be no formal charges brought against Pete Hegseth, even though you have him on tape admitting to war crimes. So there you go.
Woo.
Resistance
is futile.
Reminds me of that phrase that they said in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy: resistance is useless.
Right. Resistance is useless, which is why revolution is necessary. These people are not going to just get a message. Like, that's not going to happen.
No.
So this is global. And honestly, the Venezuelan people they will take care of themselves.
They will. Yeah, they're not going to roll. No one in that country is rolling over.
And even the people there that don't like Maduro, that doesn't mean that they want the United States to come in there and do what we want to do. Like, I wouldn't want that happening here, regardless of who I voted or didn't vote for. Right. So the arrogance of us to think that, oh, of course, they don't like Maduro. He's no good. So we'll go get rid of him. Well, most people voted for him. But even the people who did it, they're armed and they don't appreciate our input.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so very much for that. I ran away from one of the things that I also wanted to discuss a little bit. If you're comfortable, I just wanted to make sure. But recently, James Lee was just fired from Breaking Points, which I am confused about. I'm like, why in the world would they do it? Before we get into any of the videos, I know you have a hard stop, Peter, but if you can give me your initial thoughts about this, because I have my thoughts, but I'm curious about what you think.
When I think of the best investigative journalists out there today, Jordan Chariton's Status Quo, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, James Lee is in that category. He does exceptional work. And we use footage from his takedowns of certain topics on our show. I would say at least once a week. There's probably at least one important story that he's covering. And I've always been quick to point out, because I know Crystal personally, and the fact that we would always say, James Lee from Breaking Points with Crystal and Sagar. And obviously it's way too early to determine exactly what the reasoning is, but I think we can surmise, because he's such a straight shooter and such an honest operator, that the only reason why he was taken out from his position is because, as you like to say, Jen, he's flying a little too close to the sun. And when you are that accurate when it comes to the truth, that's how you get fired. You don't get fired for being a buffoon. You get fired for being good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Please go ahead, Jen.
No, we're hoping. I mean, I'm going to ask him. I'm hopeful that maybe we'll be able to get him on soon to talk about this. It's disappointing. I haven't watched Breaking Points in years. So I actually follow James Lee on his own channel, which is 5149 with James Lee. I know he's launching. He put out a statement that he's launching a new thing. I think it's his own website. He's going to have his own membership, his whole own thing, which is great. So I'm hoping to get him on so that we could help promote that. But them firing him, to me, it validates that I stopped watching them. Right? Like that's the kind of stuff that you do when you are covering truth. You don't do that if you're trying to expose truth. And honestly, shame on Crystal. Shame on anybody that's affiliated with that is just sitting there with this. So you're willing to sit there and eat at that trough, even though you know that trough is completely poisoned because of what just happened.
And I'll leave on this note. If Crystal, if I were you, you're going to have to issue a statement on this. If you don't, people are going to draw their own conclusions and it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Just say the truth. I mean, listen, if somebody is holding it over your head and saying James Lee can no longer be employed by you or X, Y, and Z, James has already made it very clear that there is something going on with this Stop Anti-Semitism psycho-Zionist person. So there'll be more to the story as we go forward. I appreciate you having me on, my friend, and I will definitely be talking to you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you so very much, Peter. Good to see you. Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to get into was just a little bit of the video of James Lee actually telling basically all of us that he's been essentially unceremoniously fired from Breaking Points, which in my view, I'm just like, wait a minute. Like, how did this happen? Like, why did this happen? And he actually goes over that. And when I hear the excuse, there's a part of me that goes, it's like, oh, so this really is just business. And so let me make sure I have this prepared.
I think this was a memo that came down from the top. And what made me think of that, and I don't know if part of this, if in this clip it is where he talks about how his TikTok account was completely deactivated, even though he doesn't even post on TikTok.
Yeah.
So in other words, he was pointed out by people like Larry Ellison, and he was highlighted and he was targeted. And so everybody fell in line accordingly.
Yeah. Let's take a look at this. This is quite telling. So, and how many views is this already? This is almost 150,000 views already.
Good.
This is massive. I caught it when it was at like 5,000 views last night. So let's go.
There's a famous saying, all tyrannies rule through fraud and force. But once the fraud is exposed, then they must rely exclusively on force. And because my entire platform is literally dedicated to exposing fraud, it is maybe not a surprise that the powers that be are laying the hammer down on me right now pretty hard, seemingly all at once, and I could definitely use some of your support. So I'll start here. A few weeks ago, the pro-Israel Stop Anti-Semitism advocacy group named me Anti-Semite of the Week. For what? Simply daring to call out Israel's lies and deceit. And this is what they're citing as anti-Semitism. Me saying that, quote, Israel is a parasite to the world and that their survival depends on deception, bribery, manipulation, and coercion, and that the truth threatens its very existence, which is all just factually true. There is a reason why they have a multi-million-dollar annual Hasbro budget for this exact specific purpose. They also evidently did not like that I called out the fact that the state of Israel was literally founded by Zionist terrorists and that they quite literally invented terrorism itself. Also just factually true. Just Google the King David Hotel 1946 and you will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Where's the lie, Jen?
There is none. That's the point. That's what Peter was touching on. Like if what he was saying wasn't true, then nobody would have a problem with it. So that's the thing. He hit close to home that he is, and I'm not entirely sure that what's really going on isn't somehow connected to his expose on the Charlie Kirk assassination and the information that he's been pointing out over very like religiously on that, because he has shown some very interesting findings. And of course, all roads lead to Israel. All roads lead to Mossad, or, whoever is handling that for them. And so, yeah, I think it might be, I mean, we will never know what was the final straw, but people like him, they're constantly being monitored.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's continue on.
They also say that it's somehow wrong to argue that the ADL's, in my opinion, bastardized version or definition of anti-Semitism is not actually about protecting Jewish people, but is instead about protecting Israel from accountability. So I guess trying to protect Jews is bad. Anyway, the Stop Anti-Semitism group was founded by this lady named Leora Rez, and their entire platform is all about getting people fired for criticizing Israel. Honestly, I think
Hang on. Does she look kind of bit like Crystal Ball?
A little bit, with darker hair. I could see it. Yeah. But even though it might not be cool that Crystal is not, sticking her neck out here for James, I don't think she'd be on that side of things.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. It's kind of ironic. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really the big point. The overarching theme is that this group is trying to get people like him fired, and then Breaking Points followed suit.
Yeah. So if the independent media like Breaking Points, which a lot of people on the left or progressives have generally considered to be, decent alternative media. So if this is where they are, then I guess that's not so decent.
I guess not. Let's continue.
people fired for criticizing Israel. Honestly, I think I should probably do a deep dive on them, and I think I will. But right now, they are literally telling people to mass report my account in order to deplatform me. And maybe, just maybe by coincidence, maybe not, I don't know for sure, but the second thing that happened to me in this last week was that my TikTok account was unceremoniously banned. For what specifically, I have no idea, because honestly, I haven't even been posting there very much because they were censoring me anyway, and I really couldn't post anything. People should know, if you don't know already, that the new owner of TikTok, billionaire Larry Ellison, is the largest private donor to the IDF. Okay. And that the head of their content moderation is this lady named Erica Mendel, who is a former IDF soldier. But China is really the big problem, right? They were stealing our data. So the solution for that is, of course, to turn around and hand it over to Israel. That is totally what America First is all about. Anyway, and then you have the hat trick. Number 3, you guys remember last week when I talked about how Breaking Points decided not to air my interview with Elijah Schaffer, who is being sued currently by Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins? Well, yesterday, their producer sent me an email notifying me that my relationship with them will end, quote unquote, effective immediately. The reason they cited is that they're, quote unquote, looking ahead to 2026 and making some changes in content, and felt that my submissions did not align with their new direction. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but my gut feeling is that they probably felt that I was free speeching just a little too hard for their liking.
Okay. What direction do you think that is?
Well, it's interesting because it could be anything from he's just generally incendiary and finding things that we don't want him to find, or it could be that he pissed off Kash Patel and they got a phone call from their owner and that was that, right? It could, or a phone call from Larry Ellison, right? You never know with these people because it is such a tyrannical situation. So they're going to just say what he wasn't going in the same direction as them. Yes, he was exposing truths that they don't want exposed. So that's not the direction they want to go in.
But I thought it was all about sticking up for the working class. I thought that Breaking Points, especially with somebody like a Crystal Ball, she was always talking about the working class. They talked about labor issues a lot. She talked about the victory of the NLRB. She talked about all these different things involving working class issues. And then you have James Lee, who does deep dives that really uncover what the transgressions of the empire is doing against the working class. And somehow he's revealing too much.
Well, what is that? What does that say? Like, what does that tell us? It's very Bernie-like, Like, we'll sit there and we'll say all the right things. We'll hit all the right talking points. We'll say that we stand with working people. We'll say that we're for labor. But at the end of the day, we're going to usher you right back into the duopoly. So it's almost like Breaking Points is just a media version of that, which Bernie is the political version of. So they're basically controlled opposition. So we'll say some of it up to a point where our owners will let us go. It's sort of the same as people that think a protest is getting a permit for a march that is granted to you by your oppressor as to the designated time and place that you can stand and aimlessly file your grievance that they won't listen to. So it's the same thing, right? You will speak up as far as you're allowed within the permissible context of what you're allowed to speak up about. And once you get outside of that, it's done. It's done. And obviously that's what Breaking Points is.
This feels like it is trying to preserve what we call access journalism, where it's basically, well, we don't want to ruffle too many feathers because we want these politicians to still come on our show. And let me break it down to the audience, because you and I are in the independent media space, so we know. But if you are able to get some big name politician to come on, even if it's to push back, right? That means that people are going to be interested. They're going to want to tune in. That means that your numbers are going to go up. And remember that the YouTube game is basically based on AdSense and also having patrons on your Patreon. So the more you have, the more money you make. Therefore, having access to these politicians, if they see that somebody like James Lee or somebody within their orbit is speaking a little too much truth, and then they're going, well, we're not really going to touch your channel anymore, then that means they put themselves at risk to make less revenue. So my question is it really about integrity and telling the truth, or is it about the money?
Money and access, of course. And this also goes the same. This concept, what you're talking about, is also the same regarding the press that are invited into the press rooms, right? Those people that are invited into those rooms. And there's very rare exceptions, like occasionally a Max Blumenthal will get in every once in a while, like, and then get promptly escorted out. But, the people that get invited into that room have already been vetted as tools of the establishment. They're already established as tools, or they wouldn't be invited in. And it's the same thing in terms of media space, where the let's say the selected people will allow themselves to go on because they know it's a safe place for them. They know they're not going to really be questioned. They're not going to be held accountable. There might be some mild pushback here and there, again, within the parameters of what's acceptable discourse. And so the second that somebody steps out of that, like what James Lee did, where they're like, oh, no, we're not going there. That's just, we can't have that. That was it. And I think it's very true that they're not going to, someone like Crystal is not going to risk her career and her income and her stuff for that. And this is what naturally happens to people that get in those positions, because it's very comfortable to be in that position. I don't understand it personally, because we only recently started being able to make any money whatsoever from people watching ads. And we've been doing this for 5 years, and it's only been in the past few months that anything has come in. So I can't fathom how much money people like Crystal and Saga are making from what they do. A lot. And so they're not going to sacrifice that. They're not going to risk that.
So one of the people who I have a conversation about this all the time, my sister, Savvy Savs. And one of the things that we always talk about, we always ask the question, what matters more, the mission or the money? And we always conclude that the mission matters the most. And truth be told, it's the mission only. And so when you have, and it's not just channels like Breaking Points, like, and they'll do dives on different things, and they'll be good, in certain areas,
Sure.
and I'll give them that. At the same time, when it comes to what solutions they're pushing, it's always voting.
Yeah.
I don't hear about anything else. I mean, what have you observed?
Yeah. I mean, they're only going to work within the confines of establishment allowed discourse, right? So these are people that will only address things like police reform, but they won't address abolition. These are people that will only go so far, right? Within the parameters that the establishment allows them to go. And it is a problem. It's a huge problem. Every time that something like this happens, like to James Lee, I feel like all of us in our space, Jay, like all the people that are trying to do what we're trying to do, it's like when something like that happens to James, it's like another person banged into the wall, right? You ran right into the wall, and we got to like figure out, okay, how do we get around this again? Like as they keep putting up barriers to our getting content out and being able to expose the duopoly and the corruption, and they're playing whack-a-mole with us, but in response, we're running around like moles popping up and just trying to get as much out there as we can while they're trying to stifle it all. It is very problematic and it's very concerning. And I know that our solution is not going to be handled through electoral politics. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. So, when we say revolutionary, I think that a lot of people don't understand what that means. And to me, it very, very specifically does attribute this idea that this has to come from outside of the political process and it has to come from us. And that is what, I mean, we're stuck in their matrix media-wise. And that's what makes it so difficult because they own the media matrix that we're trying to get our message out in. And at some point, this is all going to go away and we're going to have to all be dealing with this in the real world.
Yeah.
Because they're going to keep buying up the state. Like at some point, we won't necessarily have access.
It's true. There's another point, and give me your thoughts on this before I show a update response from James Lee. But I said this, was it last year? I think it was on Twitter last year. I said something to the effect of, there is a class divide in independent media on the left.
Yeah.
And people really didn't take to that. I think it got maybe like a low amount of views. But when I say there's a class divide, you have what I like to call the legacy left channels, who they only push just electoralism. They don't push anything through mutual aid, building dual power. And they'll continuously complain about the empire, but then they don't push forth any other solutions outside of electoralism. And then also, these are the ones that have 3, 4, 5, 600,000, 1 million subscribers, and they're making they're living well.
Yeah.
And yet they don't want to shake up the system by telling the working class, look, if you guys want to do voting, all right, go ahead and do that. But this is what we really need to do. I don't see that hardly ever from these, what I call legacy left channels.
No, and you won't, or they will no longer be legacy channels. It is absolutely a class divide. And that's the case for everything. That's even something we talk about regarding the Jewish community and their support for Ziohel. It's very much, there's a very strong class divide on that. So a lot of these things are class issues because at the end of the day, this is a class war. And yeah, absolutely. Now, there are outliers that we would call class traders, right? Like there are people that would be in that upper echelon media space, and maybe they could be financially, but they actually do speak truth. And there are people like that. And, that's, like someone like Brianna Joy Gray, that could be legacy media, could have access to all of that and still speaks truth, right? So there are people in that world that are willing to put their name, their reputation, their neck out there for what's real and what's true. But mostly not.
Yeah.
And I get it. They don't want things to change. And if, let's say, hypothetically, the duopoly crumbled and electoral politics as we know it, the game was gone, what would those people do? What would they talk about? What access would they have, and who would they have access to? Because their access and what makes them relevant is their access to our beholden political process and the people that run that process. So if that's their bread and butter, they don't want anything to really change that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I will say this, James Lee's update, I think he's being very professional, but I'll give you my thoughts after I read what he says. So This is an update from him. He said, personal update. I want to let you all know that my time as contributor for Breaking Points has come to an end. He's being very, very polite here. I want to give a massive thank you to Sagar, who reached out to me when I had just 2,000 subscribers. He took a chance on me and gave me the confidence that I belonged in this crazy world of media. I am incredibly grateful for the platform they provided. I wish Sagar, Crystal, and the whole team nothing but the best going forward. As for what's next, I'm more energized than ever to double down on fully independent journalism. I'm excited to build a space where we can speak the truth without restriction. And I can't wait to share this new chapter with y'all. Here's a little slight dig right there. Speak the truth without restriction. He's saying something right there.
Of course.
He's basically saying, oh, I was restricted with Breaking Points. That's what it sounds like to me. Maybe I'm grasping at straws, but that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Well, and even if he wasn't, regarding like little things on every story, the fact that he was just let go, I guess, is the ultimate restriction. So it's now just proven that you are restricted on that media source. And yeah, James is definitely a very classy, gracious person, and he's definitely taking the high road here with them. And, you know, whatever, I don't wish anything bad on anybody, but I just will not, I can't take them seriously as what I would consider to be newsworthy at this point. Because if you're only covering what the establishment allows you to cover, you're not providing us with anything other than talking points and propaganda. So maybe instead of breaking points, it should be called talking points, and they should just, you know, go. I don't know. But no, and also I will say that, and I don't know if you're familiar with Status Quo, and our friend Jordan Sheraton over at Status Quo. Jordan realized a long time ago that the answer was in having your own system, your own memberships, your own email, your own contacts, because those of us who work primarily in this YouTube universe, or even Rumble or whatever media we're on, we are at the behest of those companies and those platforms. And so it looks like also this is probably the best thing that could happen for James, really, because now he will be in complete control of his own complete platform. Yeah. And that is ultimately where because it's only a matter of time before YouTube gets rid of all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. My thought is he's being very professional in the way and how he was fired. It wasn't let go. He was fired.
Yeah.
I would have done the same thing he did last night, which was upload a video about it. And then I would have kept my mouth shut. I wouldn't have said anything else. The reason being is because the way they let James Lee go, they don't deserve a gracious update. Because, and like Peter said earlier, she needs to put out a statement, especially her, because she considers herself to be on the left. And this was a worker, because at the end of the day, Breaking Points, the owners are Crystal Ball and Sagar and Jetty. And so therefore, the buck stops with them. And therefore, that means it was a decision from the top down.
Yep.
So they're the ones that need to come out with a statement, not James. He announced, hey, by the way, I was fired from Breaking Points. This could be why. He didn't disparage them at all. He didn't call them outside of their name. He didn't call them anything but a child of God. Nothing. He was very factual about what he said. And he also said, we're going to still keep telling the truth unabashedly, no matter what. And so for him to put a cherry on top of it, which it wasn't even deserved, was, in my view, beyond gracious of him. I respect him for that. At the same time, I don't think it was actually necessary.
The only thing I could think about is, as we do know in the content creator space, right? Like, we don't necessarily alter our principles, right? But if throwing a little grace keeps you some followers and keeps you having somewhat of a crossover audience, and look, he has been part of that. So he needs to at least wants to take some of those people with him over to whatever he's doing. So, I mean, there is somewhat a business mindset involved, I do think, for him in taking the high road with it. But yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't have been so gracious.
Yeah. But at the same time, as well, to your point, this space is all about relationships.
Yep.
And so, and I always say, you can disagree without being disagreeable. And it's like there's a part of me that goes, he wasn't wrong for being gracious, but it also makes Breaking Point looks even worse the longer it goes without them actually putting out a statement.
Yeah. Well, so maybe it's at the end of the day, he's coming out looking awesome, regardless of what you know about what happened. Exactly. So he getting on this actually does make them look even worse.
Yeah. And then even, people like Ian Carroll is coming to his defense. So I just wish, James Lee the best. And I hope that, he continues to grow and keep speaking truth to power. Speak truth to power, even if your voice shakes, right? That's what I hope for him. He's doing great work. And so, I mean, James, if you ever want a platform, my channel's really small, but hey, I'll give you a voice here too. I know your platform is way bigger than mine, but hey, there's another one. But
no, everybody needs to be sharing that. It isn't about the size of the platform. It's about the integrity of the platform. And there are people in this space that have huge platforms because of attaching themselves to not such great characters and not such great people of integrity. And so they've gotten the wind behind their back, so to speak, in a lot of ways. And then there's people that have just been chugging along and just doing it every day on their own. And that's like you guys, and that's like us. And that's the community that we need to build up. And I think that, right now it is online, but I do believe that at some point in the future, it's going to need to be in real life. And when we talk about mutual aid and building, like my goal is to live in a much smaller, sustainable community. I want to have a food forest. I want to have we are all going to need to get back to basics to me within the next 10 years. And I'm not saying that like scary Mad Max apocalyptic shit, but when the rest of the world is done with us and doesn't want to trade with us anymore, and the dollar is no longer the global currency, and we are no longer king shit a fuck mountain, which is that's coming, right? And when that happens, our ability to thrive will be directly correlated to the communities that we have established and set up that are smaller and sustainable, because everything else won't be functioning as it is right now.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is very important, I think.
Yeah. And when we meet, it'll be at Gideon's Bakery.
Oh, let me tell you, no. I have actually driven up there to go to that bakery and spent the night on a bakery trip. Yeah, no, it's special. And I will put in my order plenty of time, in 72 hours in advance, so that when I go pick it up, it's, oh yeah.
I gotta go there.
You do. And by the way, that whole little building, just so you know, it's really cute. I don't know if you've ever been to that. It's like not a food court, but like almost like there is other food there, but it's other things like little local artist stalls. And it's like this co-op type of building structure that Gideon's is in. And there's some other really cool stuff in there too. And yeah, it's a good area. I don't know if you're familiar with that area where it is.
I'm trying to see the actual address.
It's on Corinne Drive. It's east of Henry P. Lou Gardens, which is also lovely because I've gotten my cookies and gone over to the gardens to sit and eat my cookies before. So that's, also a good field trip for you if you haven't been to Henry P. Lou Gardens.
I don't know. I'm in the hood side of Orlando.
I don't know where that is. Where is the hood?
Let me see. How far is that from me? Hang on.
It's north and east of downtown on Corinne Drive. That's all I know.
Oh, it's right near the Science Center. Okay.
See, do you know where? See, and do you see Henry P. Lou Gardens?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
That's a lovely place to go. I'm just saying.
Okay, it's near Abaddon Park.
It's nice in that area, and it's very funky, and there's a lot of good little restaurants and stuff up there.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you got to go to Gideon's.
Yeah, it's not too far from Colonial, actually. Okay, cool.
There you go. If you like sweets,
I do. It's just I'm counting calories now. Blame Savvy Seb. She got me counting calories now. But I'm counting calories now. So, and yes, I will blame her every single time chance I get.
Yeah.
Am I healthier? Yes.
But you're angrier.
Get me to live to 100.
But you're grumpier.
I love my sister. She's awesome. But yeah, I can't wait. But one of the things that I definitely want to do is I want you to shout out whatever projects you have coming up. You also have your channel. I have that linked in the description already down below. Please let people know what you have coming up. I am excited.
Okay, so our channel is called Revolutionary Change. This week we don't actually have something set up for Thursday, but we are having an exciting solstice coming up where we do our big airing of the grievances, and a whole bunch of different people will come on and air their grievances with us. And we have a lot of grievances this year. So yes, we have that coming up, but we also have a Revolutionary Change pack that we have started. We are a super PAC. The web address is revolutionarychangepac.org. And we are nonpartisan. We will support any candidates that are working for working people and also speaking out against APAC. We are basically the anti-APAC super PAC. And like right now, our big focus is on Butch Ware and Shama Sawant. But we're open. We're anti-Zionist fluid. So yeah, that's what I'm doing is I'm packing and channeling.
All right. Thank you so very much to you and Peter. Look, I wish this conversation could be longer because you guys brought it. Like, and the thing is it's not just you brought it. The thing is like you elevate the conversation, which I deeply appreciate. Because a lot of times we need to take a look at things from 30,000 feet, but then you guys also kind of do double duty and it's like, okay, let's take it down to ground level and see exactly how things go. So I thank you guys so much.
We try to go back and forth between the tree and the forest. It's not easy, but that's why we need all of these channels. That's why it's important for you guys out there in the world to check in with different channels. The perspectives are important.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you so much, Jen.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jay.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Great conversation with Jen Perelman and Peter Hager. Look, if you guys have not already, you guys can subscribe to Revolutionary Change. Just go ahead and click, the description is already linked down below, so you guys don't have to worry about trying to find it. It's there. So you guys have that. They're doing great work in their channel, especially talking about going outside of the duopoly and also doing work on the ground within our own communities. I think that's what's really important. So I just want to thank them for that. While we're at it, we're going to do the damn thing here. We are going to ask you to do one thing. We're going to like the stream. Go ahead and do that. Just click it right there. I'm just checking to see if you don't like that stream. All right. Thank you. All right, guys. let's get into the comments and let's see what you guys are saying. Let me check to see if we have any Rumble rants. We're good on the Rumble side, so that's good there. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if we have any gifted subs on Kick. Yes, I am also on Kick. Let's take a look there. All right, looks like we're good on the Kick side, so we're good there. All right, perfect. Let's get into the chat. All right, let's see here. Edward says, "What's up, JB? The Trump administration can't mind their own business. They have to try to steal their oil." Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things I think is absolutely imperative. Like, we need to have a government that minds their own damn business, right? And the thing is, like, let's say hypothetically, okay, Venezuela, like, their head of state, let's say, just for the sake of argument, their head of state is a dictator. We see 3 million Venezuelans armed to the teeth. If they wanted to take their dictator out, they could. Definitely. That being said, why in the world are we taking it upon ourselves to be saviors and liberators? They got the arms to be able to do their own thing. Why are we trying to? Come on now, it's crazy. It's not only paternalistic. It's you know, it's overstepping. It's overbearing of our country to do that, and then it's under the guise of, oh, we're just trying to stop the drugs from coming in. In the drug war, it is so easy for us to actually fix this. If you end the drug war, then guess what? The people who are essentially buying the drugs, well, they can't make money off of it. Then guess what? They won't be selling here no more. End the drug war. Hell, legalize it. Then you wouldn't have to worry about that. Like, it's crazy on his face. It's like, some people be like, oh, it's not that simple. Baby, it is that simple. The people who say it's not that simple want to keep it complex so they can keep doing BS like this. That's the whole reason why they're doing it. Zero says, damn, I didn't get a notification. It happens like that sometimes. But I was a little late in getting my stream up because I was running around. I was busy all day today. So, but good to see you. CBC voter coming in saying happy Tuesday at JB. We have Jacqueline coming in saying, hey, JB, hey, everyone. Roger Meadows. I know the whole suspension thing, bro. Look, you'll be back. He says, waiting for my appeal to X for being suspended. I think they think I was a fake account. Which is weird because you don't do any fake account things. Like, it's weird. But at the same time, we're still talking about a platform that's owned by Elon Musk. So, yeah. Zero says, I do not like raisins. You're gonna eat raisins, you're gonna like them. All right, if you don't like them, that's okay. You don't have to eat them. Okay. But still, you know, I like them. I like them. Actually, I like them not just in cookies. I actually like them in my oatmeal. And then you chop up some walnuts. Oh my God. Delicious, delicious. Or Raisin Bran. Either the original or the Raisin Bran Crunch. Those cereals go hard, baby. Oh my gosh. Am I an old man on the inside? Don't answer that question. Don't answer. Oh my gosh. Let me see here. All right. Ooh, yes. Jacqueline says I was watching Jamarl Thomas. By the way, I need to get Jamarl Thomas on. He is a very smart guy. I like people who are anti-imperialist and smart. I want to get him on the show. I got to figure out how to get him on. People, cross your fingers, cross your toes, and cross your eyes, and wish for me to get Jamal Thomas on. Well, don't cross your eyes for too long, though. I don't want it to get stuck. All right. Edward says this war in Venezuela is going to create more refugees because of the U.S. government. Exactly. And people who complain about, oh my God, the illegals are coming. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not helping the situation by trying to regime change Venezuela. You're not helping the situation. And this is also create more people who are going to be exploited because they fled to be here, which is also going to create even more victims who are American citizens and more victims who are undocumented. I'm tired of having more victims. We need to end this system so that we stop victimizing the people. And plus, people who are from Venezuela, a lot of them, they want to stay where they're at. But with the United States doing all the BS that it's doing, they can't stay where they're at. It's crazy, man. Yeah, Roger, I was kind of thinking of the same thing. Dude, get the marbles out of your mouth. Kind of sounds a little bit like Heath Ledger's character in Brokeback Mountain. If you know, you know. He does. Oh my gosh. Anyway. Good to see. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me go up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Wait. Is it gonna let me? There we go. Okay. Hallgall says, hi, JB. Holly Horn up in here. All right, good to see you. Yeah, Bryce, good to see you too. He says, I'm not surprised. Yep. Nico Wicca says, blacklisted from Breaking Points for integrity. It's not a good look, man. It's not a good look. I think it's Sean Miller says, why is this guy making light of 5150 though? It's like, really? 5149, I'm one away. I don't know what 51 is. That 5150? Isn't that what's his name podcast? I'm blanking on his name. He's a comedian. But yeah, I that's the only thing I think of when I hear 5150. You never know. All right, so let's continue on. Sean says, been battling sickness since this weekend, and now I'm staying home trying to get well. I wish you well. I definitely wish you well and speedy recovery. Okay, Sean, please. Plenty of protein. Now, if you're, plenty of protein, whether it's plant protein or animal protein, whatever, plenty of protein, and also watch something funny. I know I ain't got no funny stories today. I'm sorry. But watch something funny because laughter also helps you recover faster. So watch something funny. Skylar, hey, how you doing? Says, I'm legit disappointed in Breaking Points for this. Yeah, yeah. Am I subscribed to them? I don't know. I can't remember. I gotta look. Chris coming in saying Jen is 1000% right. Change will not come within the electoral politics spirit. It must come communities through collective struggle. Absolutely. Ooh. You cook with this one, Scholar. I hate how professionalism is low-key a weapon by those empowered to silence the truth. Look, you got a point. You got a point. Okay. Unfortunately, Holly, try Rockfin. I was on Rockfin. I basically got kicked out from being a creator. I still don't know why. Well, technically, I think I know why. It's because I didn't have enough subscribers. And I tried to get in touch with him. No email back. That's all I know. So, unfortunately. Fire Repo says, love to you, JB and Jaybefaunt, Town Tribe. Town Tribe. Oh, I like the sound of that. Town Tribe. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Comrade over here. Hang on. Oop. We have Tim coming in saying Mills 50 area, also part of the RBN Orlando chapter. Good to see you. Yeah, I got to go there. I really want to go there. The thing is, I'm going to have to go on my cheat meal. Radical Education says, oh, Ish, I was listening to the stream. Uncle JB looking fresh. Uncle JB. Thank you so very much for that. I appreciate it. Skylar, I'm not reading what you said because you hold your tongue, young man, about raisins. You hold your tongue. But I mean, what you do with your cookies behind closed doors is your own business. But I like raisins. Okay. All right. I should get some raisins from the grocery store. Anyways, let's get on with the next segment. But I do want to give a shout out to the patrons on Patreon because guess what? This channel ain't nothing without y'all. So thank you very much to all the patrons on Patreon. You guys make this channel absolutely possible. Here are the tiers. We got Mega Jaybefaunters, Super Duper Jaybefaunters, Super Jaybefaunters, Jaybefaunters. Then we have Comrade, Solidarity, and JB members. I really need to update this thing. This thing looks horrible. It looks janky. It is ghetto. It's okay. I'll be fine. But I would like to thank brand new member, Christopher Banks. Thank you so very much for becoming a contributor to the channel. It means the most to me. And you are doing the damn thing by helping me keep the lights on. And by the way, just to let you guys know, my channel is demonetized. So if you like to contribute to the channel, you can contribute through Patreon or PayPal. So thank you very much for that. All right, guys. So let's get into our final story. Crazy enough, we're at the final story. For today, we're going to be getting into this. So, of course, we already talked about, war with Venezuela, possible war with Venezuela. We talked about it with Jen and Peter from Revolutionary Change. And we talked about how James Lee was fired from Breaking Points. And now we're going to be talking about this young man. This is a story that I actually did not know about, but he proves a point. And this is why I say it's price gouging, healthcare affordability. Let's get into this one. They lie about prices. Do you know how much money is made from the people who make pacemakers? How much money is made from the manufacturers that build MRIs or that build ultrasound machines? What about the people who make things like prosthetics, prosthetic arms, prosthetic legs? What about the people who actually make dentures and teeth implants? What about any one of these medical device manufacturers that make power chairs, walkers, wheelchairs, canes? What about all these people? How much money are they bringing in? I'm going to share this story. And this young man created something marvelous that I didn't know he had made. And this was reported on 2 years ago. But even further, he actually shows us that healthcare can actually be affordable. The corporations just don't want it to be that way. We were lied to. You were lied to. I was lied to. And it's now time to uncover those lies. Let's get into this story, because this kid is, he made a lot of waves within the healthcare system. So let's go to this one. And this young man's name is Benjamin Choi. So I want to get into this. So shout out to Pascal Bournet for this. Let's watch what he says, and then I want to read the caption of what Pascal said. So here is Benjamin Choi, 17 years old. Let's go.
And so my novel mind-controlled bionic arm was intended to address these shortcomings. So using tiny, non-invasive electrodes, I was able to pick up fuzzy residual electrical activity on the forehead. I theorized that deciphering those obscure surface-level signals could potentially allow the interpretation of frontal lobe brainwave activity. And so I conducted this IRB-approved study to collect thousands of brainwave data points from a diverse group of human subjects. And by using this acquired data to train a complex artificial intelligence-based mind-reading algorithm, I was able to discern bona fide user thoughts from scalp electrical activity. And so my final algorithm involves over 23,000 lines of handwritten code and over 900 pages of calculus-intensive math. No existing system has been able to achieve the accuracy that my system has. And so in a series of rigorous tests, my provisionally patented neuroprosthesis has achieved similar performance to that of the world's industry-leading $450,000 plus invasive prosthetics. The arm is extremely durable, lightweight, and has no surgical requirement. And my entire system costs less than $300 to produce.
You heard that correctly. A system that only costs less than $300 to produce, and they're charging upwards of $450,000 for a prosthetic. And this requires no surgery at all. A 17-year-old built this with use of research on AI. 17. Let's take a look at this caption, because this reveals quite a bit. So thank you very much to Pascal Bournet. He said, a 17-year-old just built a mind-controlled prosthetic arm for $300. Yes, $300 for something that usually costs $450,000. Let that hit you. A teenager working from home used AI, cheap materials, and 23,000 lines of code to build a device that reads brain signals without surgery, without implants, and without a $450,000 price tag. This is not a feel-good story. I repeat what he said. This is not a feel-good story. It is a warning shot. How can a high school student build something 15,000 times cheaper than the industry standard? What does this say about innovation, about pricing, about who gets access to life-changing technology? Of course, medical prosthetics are expensive for real reasons: materials, testing, regulation, customization. But let's be honest, not all of that justifies the $500,000 price. This story exposes simple truth. The future of accessibility won't come from the system. It will come from outsiders who dare to change it. If a 17-year-old can match top-tier prosthetics for a fraction of the cost, why aren't these solutions available to the millions who need them? What do you think? Breakthrough moment or the start of a bigger revolution? Ooh. Ooh. this is something I think that a lot of people really should come to terms with. Corporations price gouge basically as the norm, especially within the medical field. And when people look at me and say, are you crazy when I say we should nationalize the entire healthcare system? I say nationalize meaning that under an actual democratic system, not this what we have here, but a real democratic system, then the healthcare system should be under the governance of the people collectively. And so then people will go, well, healthcare is so expensive. It doesn't have to be. $300 for a prosthetic arm that requires no implants or surgery. Now, can it be perfected? Yes. Can the materials be made more, in a way that it can last for decades upon decades upon decades? Yes, it can be improved upon. But the point is that the price tag is 15,000% cheaper, or 15,000, times cheaper than a prosthetic arm. And because of that, this shows us how the system is so rigged that they want to make money off of your life. And if they can't get the money out of you, then you are doomed to go without, even if it means going without life. And so I want people to realize how much money there's being made in this medical system. When somebody says, oh, you need a pacemaker, or oh, you need dialysis treatment, or oh, you need a glucose monitor. How many people got a blood glucose monitor? How much money is made off of glucose monitors? I'm not talking about the ones where they put in your arm and you can read that constantly. I'm talking about the one where you just prick your finger and have to, take in a little blood to read the blood glucose. Like, how much money are they making off of that? How much money are they making off of blood pressure cuffs, blood pressure monitors? How much money are these companies making off of an EKG? How much money are they making off of just making bags of saline? And now, if we know that this can be made for pennies on the dollar, that means if we were to have a medical system that is ran and owned by the collective, that means that we wouldn't have to spend this much money on healthcare. Healthcare can be affordable, and not just affordable for the individual, but the entire collective. Meaning, if we were to nationalize and start applying the same metric of affordability, then we wouldn't have to pay all this money for supplies. And that also means that the people who work in the medical field can get paid well without all that money going to supplies. You see, because of the ideology I have, I believe that the workers deserve to live well. So the people who own these big medical device companies, these medical supply companies, these CEOs started making billions of dollars. No. That money needs to go into the hands of the techs, the nurses, the doctors, the specialists. This needs to go in the hands of the physical therapists, the CNAs, the ANRPs. This is where the money should be going, into the hands of the people who work in the medical field, who save the lives. Why are we price gouging Why are we price gouging for tourniquets? Why are we price gouging for syringes? And that's the point. We're being price gouged just as badly as we are in the military industrial complex. The healthcare industrial complex price gouges us directly, and the military industrial complex price gouges us through the government. We're getting stiffed either way. Here's the truth. Healthcare should not be for profit, and neither should war. If you were to end it being for profit and it being just owned by the people, guess what? How many wars will we get into? There's no profit being made off of it, so therefore we wouldn't need to do regime change wars. Like we just talked about with Jim Perelman and Peter Hager. We talked about how they're trying to go to war with Venezuela. Every single time a bomb is dropped, every single time a bullet is shot, that is money out of our pockets. And these are death machines being used to kill people. Well, guess what? These IVs that are being put in your arm, they price gouge for those. The syringes that they use to give you a shot, you're price gouging you out of those. The saline bags that they create that are made for pennies on the dollar, they're price gouging you for those. Your family member needs a power chair, guess what? Price gouging. Your loved one needs a walker, price gouging. Crutches, price gouging. Prosthetics, price gouging. Glasses are prosthetics for your eyes. You wear glasses, guess what? Price gouging. It all is price gouging. That's all it is. It's paywalling you from having the quality of life that you should have. That is unacceptable. You should not accept it, and I should not accept it. And please do not come in my comments. Don't come in my comments saying, well, do you want these healthcare workers to be slaves because they would be slaves? Guess what, baby? They're already slaves. They're slaves under corporations. This is why I said at the beginning, I want them to be paid well. Just like you have people in our government that are paid well. Just look at Congress. People who are working in the medical field should be paid well for rendering life-saving aid to people. And that money should not be going to big CEOs of hospitals. It should not be going to big CEOs of medical suppliers. They should not be going to big CEOs of medical device manufacturers. They should be going to the people who provide the health care. And no, it's not Aetna, United Health, or Blue Cross Blue Shield. Fuck those companies. Because insurance is a scam. Hell, car insurance is a scam. How many of y'all had to pay through the nose just for car insurance? I believe we should have single payer car insurance. And we wouldn't even need car insurance that high if we actually had a mass public transit system and we have more walkable cities. We actually wouldn't need it as much. How much money would you be saving? Like Samuel L. Jackson says in a Capital One commercial, what's in your wallet? Here's the thing. That's one of the things that I ask. Let's take a look at this because there's some facts that I actually want to go over too. But I want to go over this, what this young gentleman did. So here's an article about it. This came out in 2023. It says high school invented a low-cost mind control prosthetic arm. 17-year-old Benjamin Choi put his spare time during the pandemic to good use, designing an accessible device that doesn't require brain surgery. So, says 10 years ago when Benjamin Choi was in 3rd grade, he watched a 60-minute documentary about mind control prosthesis. Researchers implanted tiny sensors into the motor cortex of the brain of a patient who moved a robotic arm using only her thoughts. Choi was fascinated by the concept, likening it to something out of Star Wars movie. Remember Luke Skywalker, right? At the end of The Empire Strikes Back? Here we go. I was really, really amazed at the time because this technology was so impressive. But I was also alarmed that they require this really risky open brain surgery, and they're so inaccessible, costing in the thousands and thousands of dollars. Years later, when the pandemic hit in 2020, Choi, a 10th grader living in Virginia, suddenly found himself with ample free time. The lab in which he planned to spend his summer researching aluminum fuels had shut down. But the documentary he had seen years earlier stuck with him, and he decided to use his spare time to build a less invasive prosthetic arm himself. In his makeshift laboratory and the ping pong table in his basement, where he sometimes worked 16 hours a day, Choi independently designed the first version of his robotic arm using his sister's $75 3D printer and some fishing line. The printer couldn't build pieces over 4.7 inches in length, so Choi printed the arm in tiny pieces and bolted and rubber banded it together. In total, it took about 30 hours to print. This version worked using brainwave data and head gestures, and Choi posted instructions online for anyone to build their own. Oh my gosh. So he open sourced it. This kid literally open sourced a prosthetic arm. And you and your mama know the corporations are probably mad about that. Because now the information's out there for everybody else. Oh, you want to know how to do this? There you go. Because knowledge and being able to be a facilitator or a catalyst for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, should be able to give it away. Use our knowledge to actually make things better for our fellow human beings. So, clap it up for Benjamin. But just like the doctor that invented insulin and gave it away basically almost for free, I think he sold the patent for like $1 so that everybody can have access to insulin because he doesn't think it should be paywalled. This young man actually did the same thing. And even still, guess who's going to try to get it patented? And then once they get it patented, they're going to upcharge somebody like crazy over it. By the way, this young person, most, if not almost all innovation happens in the public sector. Don't come to me and say, oh, well, capitalism built that iPhone. Oh, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. The pieces to that iPhone is all created in the public sector, in public schools, in public colleges and universities. So it's the same thing that goes here with a lot of medical technology, because guess what? Big corporations do not want to make the investment because they don't want to possibly lose money. So they put all the risk on you and me, the taxpayers. And then once it's created and they see that it's successful, then they take it away and then they charge us tooth and nail. They charge us up the wazoo just for something that we funded collectively. If we fund it, that means we're the investors, which means that we shouldn't have to get charged for it. I said what I said. Let's continue on. He said he has some previous experience building robots and coding from participating in competitive robots at the elementary, middle school, and high school levels, even going to the world championships several times. Starting in 9th grade, he taught himself computer programming languages, Python and C++ by watching videos on Stack Overflow, a website for programmers. Says after more than 75 iterations, Choi's non-invasive mind-controlled robotic arm is now made from engineering-grade materials, able to withstand weights up to 4 tons. It operates using an algorithm driven by artificial intelligence and interprets a user's brain waves. And it only costs around $300 to manufacture, a huge savings compared to what's currently on the market. A more basic body-powered upper limb prosthesis costs about $7,000. As of 2015, the very advanced full-arm modular prosthetic limb, which has 26 joints, hundreds of sensors, and can curl up to 45 pounds, cost about $500,000. This prosthesis, paired with surgery to reroute nerves that once controlled the arm, allows patients to command the limb with their thoughts, even feel texture through it. So this kid has got to be 19 or 20 now. And this is an amazing thing, right? And my question is, what are we waiting for in really changing the system? Because this young man just taught us, just showed us in real time, in real life, that healthcare does not have to be expensive. And it will cost us a ton of money if the people actually own and ran the healthcare system. It's crazy. Like, why are we spending this much money? Just take a look at this. Total cost for forearm prosthetics. The total cost for forearm prosthetics range from a few $1,000s for a basic cosmetic or body power arms to over $100,000 for an advanced myoelectric or bionic arm. The price is highly dependent on the level of technology, which features like multi-grip functionality, microprocessor control, and advanced sensing, increasing the cost significantly. So if it's just for cosmetic, it's $2,000 to $5,000. This kid make a fully functional for $300. Right? Let's continue on. Why are these things that expensive? Like, even if it was sold for $600, they made a 100% profit if they sold it for $600. That's a 100% profit. It's crazy. And something like that, if it's without surgery, they're going to charge somewhere north of $500,000 for that, even though it only costs $100 to make. Let's continue. Medical devices and prosthetics industry revenue 2024. So the U.S. medical device market was estimated at $180 billion in 2024. The U.S. prosthetics and orthotics market was valued at $1,552.4 million in 2024. Other sources place U.S. medical device manufacturers market at $256.2 billion in 2024, and the U.S. durable medical equipment market at $85 billion in 2024. This is a ton of money being made. This is a ton of money being made. And who does it benefit? Does it actually benefit us? Or does it benefit just the billionaires, the parasites? Let's take a look at this. So it says high price markups for hospital administered cancer treatments. So it says hospital called up for high price markups, right? It says, I keep reading that aspirin is dangerous, but when I went to the ER thinking I might be having a heart attack, first thing they did was give me 4 baby aspirin. I wasn't having a heart attack after all, but they seemed to think it would be protective if I was. The retail hospital price for those tablets was $44. Why would hospital aspirin be so outrageously expensive? I don't take aspirin daily, but I do take it occasionally. It doesn't seem to irritate my stomach, but I always make sure I've eaten before I take any. Here's the crazy part. Hospital prices are mysteriously and frequently inflated. The list price for items like aspirin or bandages could be significantly higher than the actual cost. Aspirin, for example, should cost about a penny or so. But hospitals may charge $10 or more per pill. That is a 1,000-fold markup. Part of such high price markups cover labor and overhead expenses. But that's a 1,000% markup for aspirin. Why do we tolerate this system? And so here's my thing, and this is my pushback on Medicare for All. Because I don't think Medicare for All actually goes far enough. Single payer doesn't go far enough, baby. Because let's say hypothetically we did get a single payer healthcare system. These hospitals, big pharma, medical device manufacturers are still going to overcharge the people, even if we have a single payer healthcare system. This is why a full nationalization needs to happen, because they should not be making any profit, any at all, for any one of us off of our bodies. No, absolutely not. This is why I say a full nationalization, because they're making profit off of our lives. That ends now. Yesterday. It ends now, today, ahora. It ends because that's the problem with this system. Even if we were to have a single payer system, they still be price gouging the people collectively. Hospitals and medical practices frequently charge a lot more than they expect to receive. That's because insurers and government payers reimburse a fraction of the list price. If you ever had examined an explanation of benefits, insurance statement, you have an idea of how extreme the markdown can be for what's charged and what is paid. Your strategy to take aspirin with food is smart. You should also do that if you take another NSAID. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So it says manufacturers routinely price novel anti-cancer therapies at more than $100,000 per year, with subsequent price inflation by supply chain intermediaries, wholesalers, and group purchasing organizations, and the hospitals and physicians' offices where the drugs are administered. This says this leaves a lot of cancer patients in debt even if they have insurance. That's because of copays and deductible costs. Many skip needed treatment because of the costs. It's not just the cancer drugs are incredibly expensive. Hospitals often implement high price markups for these medications. It says median price markups for cancer therapies across centers range from 118.4% and that's Supalacel T to 633.6% Leuprolide, in excess of an estimated acquisition costs. It says here's a kicker for you. Although most National Cancer Institute cancer centers are required by federal regulation to disclose prices for cancer therapies, many did not do so. Prices were highly variable, even within similar NCI cancer centers. So, high price markups. It says, remember, car dealerships may mark up their cars 5 to 10%. A home builder often earns a gross profit of about 10 to 20%. The biggest price markups of all seem to be in healthcare. According to a study published in the journal Health Affairs, some hospitals mark their prices up more than 1,000%. Insurance companies negotiate much lower payments, but people who have no insurance and those getting out of network care are billed based on the list price, which bears little or no relationship to the cost of providing care. And then this goes into private equity firms and healthcares. So there was a time where healthcare was considered an essential public service. There was a lot of nonprofit public hospitals. Some were owned by cities or counties. Medical practices were often relatively modest organizations. These were frequently small groups of medical practitioners. Several internists, dermatologists, or cardiologists got together and formed the practice together. They usually made a decent profit, but rarely became multimillionaires with mansions and yachts. These days, hospital systems have gobbled up lots of small medical practices, so have private equity firms. And we talked about private equity. It is horrible. Private equity firms have spent nearly $1 trillion on close to 8,000 healthcare deals, snapping up prices that provide care from cradle to grave, fertility clinics, neonatal care, primary care, cardiology, hospices, and everything else in between. to deliver high return to investors. Private equity firms inflate charges and cut costs. One of 4 studies found that a few years after private equity invested in a practice, charges per patient were 50% higher than before. So this is why I say a full nationalization of our healthcare system, because it is absolutely abhorrent. And this kid just showed it does not have to be this expensive. It does not. Says in the United States, there's a rapid adoption of new advanced medical technologies to enhance quality of diagnosis and treatment procedures, treating complex health conditions with surgeries, and the markets grow remarkably. The chronic conditions like coronary, heart, and stroke disorders, along with respiratory illnesses like cardiovascular disorders and acute respiratory syndrome, are increasing among the U.S. population, with surges in the need for more cardiopulmonary bypass surgeries and related medical devices. Here's the kicker, right? A lot of people who need the cardiopulmonary devices, a lot of people who need, to have these bypass surgeries and things like that. What contributes to that? What contributes to these devices being needed more and more? Why are there so many more people who are diabetic now that they actually need blood glucose monitors? And who's making money off of that? And so the less healthy people are, the more money who makes? Of course, the medical device manufacturers, big pharma, some of these hospitals, they make more money because you're unhealthy. And who's the person that drives that? Well, would it be a lot of these big corporations, including the ones who make your food? Can we talk about Campbell's soup? Can we talk about Campbell's soup? Okay. So the thing is like there's this weird death cult symbiotic relationship between these parasitic entities. And so this is why it is so important for us to change this system fundamentally. Because as long as you have these parasites running, this system will continue to have our lives being deemed worthy of living or not based on how much money we have in our bank accounts. Thank you to Benjamin Choi for showing us what we've all known for a while, but now it's on the record that things like this don't need to be expensive, and ultimately it should not be for profit at all. As somebody who was on dialysis, kidney dialysis, for almost 18 years and recently had a transplant, I can tell you right now, right? Make sure I have my address because some of y'all crazy. This is from Medicare, right? I'm still going to be billed some money, but it's nowhere near what it was. Thankfully, but Medicare only covers 80%. The other 20%, I'm on the hook for, unless you get things like Medicaid. But these prices are astronomical when it comes to inpatient care, outpatient care. Here's one. So this is from July 10th. So this is Blood Tech Comprehensive Group of Blood Chemicals. It says facility charge $685. So thankfully Medicare paid for it. But if I didn't have it, $685 just for blood test. And then it breaks it down between different levels you have to test. Tacrolimus level, $444. Urine microalbumin levels, $270. Creatinine level to test for kidney function or muscle injury, $248. Y'all, just to test different parts and levels within the blood, they're charging that itemized and the hundreds of dollars, right? Complete ultrasound of abdomen and pelvis artery with vein blood flow. Amount facility charge was $2,622. So when people talk about, and this isn't even for the actual surgery that I had, which is 6 figures. So this is why we need to go beyond just a single parent healthcare system. And we also need to go beyond just, oh, let's just vote for the right person and hope that they will actually help us get something that's more dignified for us. No, the system itself is the problem. And we know now that no matter what, the only way we're going to get a dignified future is if we fight for it. How do we do that? We do mutual aid, build power, and we work our way up. You have to build the government that you want to see. Because this one ain't it. All right, guys, go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much. What do you guys think about that, by the way? Oh, I forgot to check the poll, by the way, about Venezuela. I'll check that poll right now. But it is crazy, y'all. Like, I'm like, what? Only that much? All right, so let me take a look here. All right. Oop, wait. Wait, hang on. Just trying to make this larger. Okay. All right, let's go into this poll. So it says this was a. Oh, wait. Okay. Oh, nope. Okay. Out of 45 votes says, do you think there will be a full-scale war with Venezuela in 2026? 29% said yes, 33% said no, and 38% said not sure. Oof. I hope not, but if there is, there's going to be a lot of Americans coming home in caskets draped with the flag. I'm telling you. It is going to be bad. I'm telling you. All right, so let's get into the rest of the chat for this this one. We're good on the Rumble side, and then we are good on the Kick side. Okay, we're good. All right, let's go into the chat. Okay. Scott said 5 raises is like 4,700 calories. I'm like, how, Sway? I just thought that was funny. Okay, thank you very much for that. Leroy, good to see you. He says, damn, sickness maintenance system. Absolutely. Yep. Nika Wicca says, system that keeps you dying, sick and dying for profit. Unfortunately, that's the system that we have. Scholar says, now this is what I want AI to be used for, not bad Drake voiceovers and deepfakes. Say, Drake. Let me stop. Sorry. That was funny, though. Sela says, this is why shop classes have been removed from public schools. We didn't have, like, in my school, I went to a predominantly black and brown school, right? And in my school, we didn't have shop class. We didn't have wood shop. We didn't have metal shop. Hell, we didn't have a swimming pool. We didn't have a lot of stuff. Like, a lot of that stuff we just didn't have. I went to, I was raised primarily in, working class, low income area. Hell, I still live in a working class, low income area. Jacqueline says, and how much will those prosthetics be in demand because what's going on in Gaza and the forever war? Ooh, Jacqueline, you making too much sense. You're making too much sense now. We're going to need those because of what the United States is allowing. William says, you're right. It doesn't have to be nationalized now more than ever. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Edward says, I'm wondering if the profit-driven medical system will keep an eye on this kid for his invention of a prosthetic arm not requiring surgery. I'm sure the healthcare industry will be mad. Yeah, I mean, they're going to try to take it and then they're going to try to take it and, take ownership of it. Patent it. I think he already patented it, which I'm hoping that I think he said he did. And it's like, no, hold on to the patent and just and then keep it open source. Just keep it open source. And they'll try to make their own variations, right? And they're welcome to do so. But if the patent is open source and you can make it anywhere that you basically have a 3D printer, hell, then it's like, okay, go ahead. But everybody's going to have the knowledge to be able to make their own. That's a good point. Fire Ripple says, hip replacements mid-price people are told about 3 miles a day wear and tear to last about 10 years or something like that. Still insane expensive, but better quality these days, at least. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yes, Skylar says, I agree. If as company is making tons of money, that money should go to all the workers. For example, the janitor at Google should be making at least $150,000 because Google got it like that. Yeah, like why isn't the janitor who's cleaning okay? Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but people who clean hospital rooms should be paid well. The housekeeping at hospitals should be paid well. Like, they're literally helping keep down infection rates. We just went through a pandemic. We know what that's all about. So the people who clean our hospital rooms, they are superstars. Why in the world are we not paying them well? Like, nah, the hospital administrator shouldn't be making that much. No, pay the housekeepers. The people who pick up the trash, the people who clean the rooms. Like, my gosh. Crazy. Miss Cat says, create a single payer healthcare for all. All right. Matt says, great poll. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, almost literally, it does cost an arm and a leg. Yes, Skylar, aspirin is a penny. Yes, Rebel Seer, I did do James Lee's story. I did it with Peter and Jen as well. So, yeah, I already did it. Let me see. Oh, thank you, Lady Alice. Says, I admire you much, JB. You have been through a lot. Thank you. You are too kind for words. Appreciate it. So let's get out of here. Sean, I'm not even going to read that because I'm hungry right now, and you are testing me. Don't be surprised if I come bust through your front door and I raid your fridge. I'm going to raid your fridge. Give me all of this. I make soup homemade. Oh my God, it's so good. So good. I made a chicken vegetable soup that was to die for and to live for. It was so good. All right, guys. Time for JB to head on out. Guys, thank you so very much for tuning in. And yes, by the way, just to let you guys know, my channel, my new channel that is the Kind Connections podcast is live. So if you guys would like to, you guys can all go ahead and subscribe there. And by the way, the next episode will be on the 11th. So that'll be next week. So if you guys would like to, you guys can all go there. And yeah, the next episode will be coming out. The first one was with Lauren Pacone, episode number 2. I will let you guys know what it is when y'all see it, because I'm not going to tell you, because that's just the kind of guy I am. We're at 96 subs. Nice. I'm almost at 100, only 4 subs away from my first 100 subs. So, but yes, if you guys would like to, you guys can subscribe to my Kind Connections podcast. This one, it goes beyond politics. I talk about science, art, history. We go into, like, if somebody wants to go into religion, politics, a whole host of different subjects. And I want to learn more from the people. And really, you know, like I always say, it is a safe place to be curious. So if you guys would like to, you guys can all subscribe to my new podcast channel. And so this is also a great way to support me too. And I will be doing these every 11th and 22nd of each month. You guys will see a new episode. So that is that. All right, guys. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you so much to Jim Perelman and Peter Hager for coming in from the Revolutionary Change Network. It's really a great time to have a conversation with you guys. Next week, who do I have coming on next week? Let me see. Next week, I know I got a guest coming on next week. Yes, I have Blake Ashby coming on. So I'll have on Blake Ashby, and that will be a very interesting conversation, to say the very least. So we will be having that. And I also have pretty much the entire month of December is guests. So it's going to be good. Guys, thank you so very much for tuning in. I hope you guys have yourself a wonderful day. Like I always say, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Smoke them if you got them, drink them if you got them. If you ain't got them, then watch something funny, because joy is revolutionary. Read because reading is fundamental. Hug yourselves, hug your loved ones. Even if your loved ones are furry and four-legged or they're scaly, you know, it's not my thing, but go ahead and hug them if you want. And guys, take care and have a great day. I love you guys for being you. Mwah! Forehead kisses. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching.
and I appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you'd like to see any more, you can look here. Mwah! Forehead kisses.